Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I love all my guests. I get excited when I talk to all my guests, but I got to tell you, I woke up this morning thinking, oh my gosh, I get to talk to Sebastian today because we're just going to have so much fun. And I'm hoping that people just love hearing what Sebastian has to say. So please join me in welcoming Sebastian Watzinger to our program today. Welcome, Sebastian.
Hi, welcome, Deb. Thank you so much, Deb. I'm glad I'm here. Really nice to talk to you.
It's great. So let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will dive into this. So Sebastian Watzinger is a composer, writer, and educator. He's been a composer and music producer for over 20 years. His music has been featured in the global McDonald's I'm Lovin' It campaign, on NBC, National Geographic, Sky, and is being synced thousands of times on TV every year. Since 2014, Sebastian has been writing and producing for several different production music publishers worldwide. That has helped him understand and write music for a wide spectrum of music, genres, and situations focused on the usage in film and TV. His music has since been featured daily on TV in Europe, North, and South America. So again, Sebastian, welcome.
Thank you. It sounds impressive.
I know. Isn't it always fun when we hear our own bios? We're like, ooh, I like those people.
Yes, and read so well as well.
I know. So I always like to know how my guests got to where they are today. And I think your story is going to be wonderful because, not a lot of people actually go, I can be an artist. I really can do this. So tell us about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So, I've been making music my whole life. I started with the flute, which every kid does in Germany, and where I'm from originally. So, and then I got to play piano, and my main instrument basically is drums.
Okay.
But I always was a little bored playing other people's music. So I wanted to create something from nothing. So this is when it started basically, the exploration in this started when my dad brought home our first PC. First computer, and with it came a program which you could record with and play some notes in. And I started, and I was like, okay, this is something that I'm really interested in. And then, of course, I made my way to. I did internships in advertising agencies and not even music production houses back then. But then I started my first company when I was 17. Wow. And we did music for like events and like custom music for events and smaller brand films and stuff like that. And then through a internship I was in Germany, I got to know a company in LA that did music for another big commercial campaign. And then I went there and asked them, do you have interns? Do you take interns? And they were laughing at me and saying, no, one ever asked us this. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just asking. And a couple of weeks later, they called me back and said, okay, you can come. We don't pay anything. Just get yourself into a flight and we pick you up at the airport and then we go from there. And so I went to LA at 23 years old, not very good at English at the time. So it was like a big adventure. So worked at the Paramount lot, which was an exciting, of course, LA in itself was very exciting back then. And then they hired me when I was back in Germany, hired me as a freelance composer, and then hired me as a on-staff composer. And I did like TV shows, animated stuff, lots of commercials, and basically learned for 3 years with them the skills and everything necessary for being able to work as a composer. and this was like such a wide world that opened up for me. And then I got let go. I had to open up my own studio, did that. And then from then on up, I just like kept on going through many valleys, but also lots of successes. And I'm now like, doing this for over 20 years, as you said, and
Wow.
just loving it. It's like, it's incredible how doing what you love actually sets you free to be the person you want to be. So this is really, really cool.
Right.
Yeah. Not an easy process, but we're here.
No. So did you have any formal music training aside from the flute when you were a little boy?
So I had training, but not formal
Okay.
in the sense of like college or anything.
Okay.
I wanted to go to college when I came back from LA, but I had 3 options in the UK. But then I said, okay, no, I can do it my own. I don't need anyone to tell me what to compose. I just need more experience in the actual business. Okay. And this is what I did. I just said no to these college things, and then I just went on my own.
Right. I love that. And so I think now I want to play a little sample of your music because it is just gorgeous, and it's on your website. You've got several different pieces on there, but I want to play just part of this one. And I was mesmerized by it. I just thought it was so pretty.
Thank you.
And it's called Spirit. Now, before I started, what did you write this for?
So this was an opening sequence for a movie.
Okay.
I mean, I'm probably tell you more about after because I want to hear what the people think when they listen to it.
Okay.
But
okay. I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean, it's funny. I was just going to play a portion of that.
Yes.
And it was so pretty. I thought, I have to play the entire clip.
Thank you.
To me, music tells stories. I mean, that is exactly what it's for. And so I see this as, it's obviously an adventure, an adventure type of movie is what I'm thinking. And I'm almost seeing horses, so that's
exactly
what I'm seeing. Oh, yay!
It's about one horse.
Okay.
Exactly, and this horse is going over the prairie, and just galloping, and this is what we had to bring with this music. Yeah, it's great that it does the trick. Yeah, awesome.
And I promise, to everybody who's listening or watching this, I didn't know that before. I mean, but I really did. I saw the horse. Now, granted, I am from Colorado, and so, but yeah, I saw the horse going out across, but yeah, I mean, it just, so I mean, this just brings so many questions. I mean, obviously, you told a great story. I mean,
Thank you.
we got it right away. Now, it could have been
Mhm.
something different, but it was obviously the adventure, and you have the
Mhm.
build in there. So I want to talk about the process. So
Mhm.
when someone comes to you and says, Sebastian, we've got this movie, we need, songs composed for it.
Mhm.
What is the process? Do you read the script? Do you wait till after it's been filmed and
Mhm.
then you put the music to that? I mean, how do you go about all of this?
So, I mean, it depends mostly on the timeline when the movie or commercial is going to be presented or it has
Mhm.
to be finished.
Okay.
And normally a composer gets into the game very late.
Okay.
So in commercials, for example, it's like, oh, we need music for this commercial. Or we call Sebastian,
Mhm.
can you do this until tomorrow morning? And I'm
Oh.
like, okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this is not basically, but yeah,
Mhm.
80% is
Mhm.
like this. Movies is a little different. And I did a theater play just a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
And I had only the script because I
Ah.
couldn't score because the show wasn't ready. So I had to
Mhm.
score from script.
Ah.
2.5 hours of score
Mhm.
just from script and back and forth with the director.
Mhm.
So I love I love any part of the process, but I think the earlier I
Mhm.
get it put into the project, the earlier the better I can actually help
Right.
develop the musical
Mhm.
language.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and because I can also see where the music helps, truly guide the story.
Mm-hmm.
There you've got the building, you've got the suspense, you've got all of those things. And so the actors, assuming that they can hear some of this, or,
Yeah.
at least the producer and the director, they know, oh, okay, this is, to match the music, we need you to do
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yes. So there are many famous, there are a couple of famous composers like in Hollywood where the process is actually turned around, but the director gives them only an idea or a word. They
Ah.
compose like 30 minutes of a suite of music.
Mhm.
And then the director goes in and says, okay, what kind of picture do I see to this music?
Mhm.
So they turn the whole thing around,
Mhm.
which I actually really like. This is
Mhm.
like good, cool thing. Yeah.
Right.
For
Right. Yeah, because like
composers.
we said, the music tells the story.
Yes.
And I mean, so many things. That is the thing. I'm going to date myself here, but Jaws. I think Jaws is probably one of the most famous soundtracks where
Yes.
when you hear, I mean, all you have to hear is dun dun.
Yeah. Just 2 notes.
And you're
It's
like,
crazy.
oh.
Yes. It's crazy, right?
It is just it like I said, it to me it's an integral part of the process. Do you
Mm-hmm.
ever work with the writers when they're creating it? Or is it you come along a little bit further?
I come along when they are already in production.
Okay.
So with the writers, especially for TV shows, they are so busy they don't have time to
Mhm.
talk to anyone.
Mhm.
They have to
Right.
write and write and write and write.
Mhm.
And I'm coming in. I mean, I can come in before,
Mhm.
but the writing process when they write the script or something, I haven't been involved yet, and
Okay.
it's more produce. My point persons are producers and directors
Okay.
basically. Yeah. Or
Okay.
agency, like the
Mhm.
account manager of the
Mhm.
agency. Yeah.
Right, right. When you're doing for commercials and things like
Yes.
that. So do you do this all on computer? Or do you have instruments that you're also
So this what you just heard, Spirit, is like only internal.
Mhm.
There's no external not external instruments or anything. But of course, as far as I can and the budget allows, I
Mhm.
always try to find some kind of either a voice or a
Mhm.
cello or any kind of like
Mhm.
instrument that has this human touch.
Mhm.
This elevates the whole piece very much. And I always like to take my people that I don't play myself.
Mhm.
I have people that will record this for me, a great network of people. And
Mhm.
I always try to also convince my clients to
Mhm.
have a little tiny
Right.
budget for
Mhm.
a real player. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because as good as computers are,
Mm-hmm.
there are it's somehow and it seems like I was going to say especially with the stringed instruments, but it's with anything,
Mm-hmm.
even voice, it is that human touch
Mm-hmm.
that elevates it. And
Yeah.
it's funny how the same piece played by two different people sounds very different.
Like, interpretation is very important, and also these little tiny mistakes and a little bit of room noise and all this makes it much more lively and much more, I don't know, connects more to the heart, I think. If it's more, I mean, the plugins and stuff that I used, all the internal instruments are really, I mean, they're getting better every day.
Right. Yeah, I never would have known that piece that I just played was entirely computer generated.
Yes, it's great what it can do. And I mean, this is only also a couple of years old already. But we are going to record something in LA, like a piece of mine in LA in 2 weeks or so. And this is just so exciting because it adds like so much humanness and so much like just, I don't know, another dimension to a piece when you have an orchestra play your stuff.
Right.
This is just
incredible.
incredible.
Yeah, especially when you have a full orchestra. I mean, there is nothing like that. It's just and so it was funny, before the program, I asked you what your favorite piece of the examples were, and I said it is kind of like picking your favorite child, and I guess it would be like that. I mean, these are truly your creations, and
right.
and so now when you compose, so you write all the music on the computer. You're not okay. So you write.
I mean, I can write. I can hardly read music. I know when I look at a score what happens.
Okay.
But I write it all internally in the computer with a keyboard. I play it like a piano, and also drums and stuff like that.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's all by ear.
Okay.
And don't write anything down. I have also people. If you need orchestra, I ship my stuff over to them and they write it out so people can read it. Yeah.
I love that. That is so cool. And it is, to me, it is just fascinating, as I was saying, as to how this process goes. And clearly you're writing, you're contracted to write these pieces.
Yes.
Do you still just write to write? Or do you have time? I mean, maybe that's the thing.
I like the combination of moving picture and music.
Okay.
And I like to be inspired by the picture or by a medium, if it's a script or and it's much easier for me to actually write something with someone in collaboration together, like a producer, writer, director, than for myself. And since I have like a list of projects that just have to be done. And I also like to have a family life, actually.
Right.
So I sometimes just say, okay, now I'm just...
right. So just to sit down and write a song is like, I'd rather go play.
Exactly. Because it's also business, it's also my work. So it's a little bit, I made my hobby to my business, converted it to business so that I don't have a hobby anymore. Cooking, maybe. But,
that is interesting because it is your work. And so to just sit down and, create something for fun, it's like,
But for me, this is business, but it's also so much fun.
Oh yeah.
To create something for someone or for a medium or something. So.
Right. Well, and to hear that, I mean, when it is done and recorded, and especially then to see it pieced together with the movie, the TV program, whatever. And to really see how it all ties together. I mean, that must just be fantastic.
It's fantastic. But you know what's even more fantastic? If a client says to me, okay, you really found what the key of this or the heart of the story is and put it into music. We could the music. I hear people say this to me. The music actually made the difference from a good movie to a great movie.
Right.
And this is what I'm striving for, to actually make my clients or my collaborators, I would say, happy and make the whole project better with what I can deliver to it.
Right.
Yes.
And of course it's interesting. Silence, is always a key part of that too. And that helps build the dramatic moment, whatever. But then, when you start having the music building, I mean, that just, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I love music so much. Sometimes I get to listening more to the music. But it's always, it's also, it tells you what's coming up. Like if you're watching a television program, you can tell by the music, commercial's coming. Right?
Yes, totally. It builds and then here we go, commercials.
And so that's always fun. But it's, when you think of especially movies that
Mm-hmm.
are outstanding movies. It is, due in large part. I mean, obviously the acting, the script, all of those things are very
Mm-hmm.
important, but the music truly is what you hear from it. And that's what's, we hear, theme songs that catch on and,
Mm-hmm.
go independent and things like that. But yeah, it's just, you wouldn't have, it'd be there, but the music really truly pulls it all together.
Yeah, and it's also great. I mean, if you hear sometimes music without the picture, you sometimes get back, like transferred back to the moment when you watched it. You
Right.
actually know where you are in the movie. And I think this is like a good sign of good quality music
Right.
when you can connect your experience in the movie with the music itself. I think this is really great. And I think also like soundtracks got a really big push when people like Hans Zimmer or even John Williams, when they play their music to picture in a big concert building. And I mean, they do like world tours now with like full orchestra and stuff, and have like a huge fan base. And I think this is that every movie composer like me benefits from that, because the sound. I know many people that just say, I'm just listening to soundtracks, not pop music in this sense. And I don't listen to soundtracks anymore, but because I listen to my own music all day. But I really like the idea of that music is such an important part, and now it gets like pushed even more. I love it. I love that.
Yeah, one of the things that I really want to do is to go to, say, the Atlanta Orchestra when they're playing at the same time as the music is playing.
Yes.
I would imagine that is just glorious.
Yes, I never been to a concert like this, but I saw videos of that, and it's like, and I heard people say what the experience was like, and it's, of course, it's great. This full like medium, everything at once. That's amazing. And see the players live. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, I've talked to people who have done those, and they end up closing their eyes and doing exactly what you said. They know what they know what the movie is, and so they just want to absorb the music.
Yes, that's great. I love it.
So, now, you mentioned the word collaborate. Do you ever collaborate with other musicians, or are you pretty much independent?
So I have lots of musicians and composer friends that I collaborate with. Okay. Because I think in general, when you collaborate, you create something better. That's also true for business. If you have like good input from other people, right, and can like put ideas out there, and they give you good feedback, that's always great. And I think sometimes even in your project and like in there for like a week, you need someone to say, this doesn't sound good, or this sounds great, and because you just so much like focused on I don't know, getting to the finish line. So I collaboration is like one of my main key components, I think, of my success. I think.
So how does that work? I mean, do you write like the first part, then they write, or it's different for me when we collaborate, because we look at things, we go, oh, that would be a different shade of blue, or let's do this, or but something. So that's obviously very visual. So it's something auditory. I mean, how does that process work?
The people I collaborate with, they have slightly different skill sets. So some of them are singers and also compose music, but can't produce it or won't produce it. So basically they sing and play something with the piano, give it to me, and I just make the whole arrangement.
Okay, so then you add everything to it.
Yes, exactly. Wow. Or I have, nowadays with technology, it's like we send sessions, like our projects, our actual things from the computer, send it to someone else. They open it up and add tiny things here and there. Okay. It's like would be like, if you have a photo and it has to be touched up, right. Basically this kind of process. Okay. And then of course you have all the people that mix the music, which is a whole other level, when you have a good mixer and master it. And then of course, like the whole other part of the audio experience in a movie is like the sound in itself, like effects and tone from the set and stuff like that, dialogue. And yeah, so this is like a whole community of like,
Right.
everyone has his little specialty, and so we collaborate together.
I love it. Now, when you're starting a project, or even when you're, in the middle of it, do you hear it in your head first, or does it just kind of start flowing out?
So I feel the more inspired the actual movie is, or the commercial is, the more I can hear the music beforehand, before I sit down. It's funny. Sometimes there are like commercials, especially where you're like, this has to be this music. And then you sit down and try to find what you're actually hearing in your head on the piano or drums or whatever you choose. And then, but like, I would say like 70% of my workflow is like, I get a movie or a picture, whatever it is, sit down and let it play, and then play to it and see what fits, right?
Right, yeah. Because then it should soar here, it should be quiet here, all of those things.
And I also like the input of the director producer at this point, because they have been with the project like at least like 6 weeks longer than me, or even longer, and so they have I like to work with people that have a clear vision for what they want, and me being more the service provider, in a sense, and
because you don't want to be doing dramatic music when it was supposed to be kind of humorous.
Exactly. I should be able to read this from the movie or from the picture, but
every once in a while you're like, is that it's kind of like, when somebody says, now, is that sarcasm?
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, all that what you talked about, like silence, this is also like, I mean, I like if they leave it to me to see where music is and where music isn't. But normally these days all movies are temped. So the temp means they have music for editing, and then they say, do something like this. Okay. Capture the style and the atmosphere that it creates. So yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure it helps, like the temporary music, that kind of helps them to set the scene. But then they obviously want the original music.
Yeah, because they can't just use any music.
Right.
They can just take music and use it for the movie. They have to recreate it or buy the rights to the music. Right. And sometimes it's cheaper to hire me than to buy, let's say.
Oh, yeah, especially if it's a very popular song, or it depends on who wrote it. Like we've all seen movies with, say, songs by the Beatles in them, or that ain't cheap.
It's quite expensive. Yes, I can do a couple of movies for what the Beatles get.
Right, for one song.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're getting there. We know that.
Absolutely.
So for somebody who's listening and going, I think I could do this. What tips would you have for them?
So probably the first and most important thing is that you have to be clear about what you actually want to achieve with your music career, and then also try to get in to making money with music as soon as possible.
Right. That's the difference between the hobby and
absolutely. So for me, it was like I had like years of like doing landscaping and even housekeeping jobs and anything else but music, and wanted to build a business with music, but didn't have the time. And then also
kind of like how we hear actors have been waiters and things like that.
Exactly this story. Yeah. And then at one point I decided, okay, no, when I want to make this a business, I want to make money and like a living from my music, I have to stop doing other jobs and just take this leap of faith and say, it will be okay. I had no money saved up. I was just get newlywed, basically.
Oh, dear. I bet your wife thought that was great.
Yes, but she's a freelancer as well, so we're in the same boat there. So which is good.
You understood each other.
Yes, this is why I think get along very well, because we come from the same background. Yeah, but I think know what you want, and then also try to get money from what you actually want as soon as possible.
I love that.
Don't try to subsidize for a long time. Just set a goal there.
Right. So you actually have written, in it's a short little ebook on the 5 daily habits to grow your music royalties to 6 figures, folks. Well, you can do this with 6 figures.
Yes.
And so kind of what are this? Yeah, I mentioned at the very start. You're also an educator, so this is the
Yes.
educator part of you, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what are the 5 daily habits?
I have to look them up myself.
Okay. So I'll give them to you. So
Yes,
the first
please.
one is read. How to be
Yes.
creative.
Yes. So it's basically something. Some people are very scared by a blank page, but I think it's and I have a link in this ebook where it leads to an article where he writes about how to be creative, and I think it's more about sitting down every day and just don't judge your work just now.
Okay.
Just get in the habit of actually writing music every day.
Okay.
And this makes you getting better. And also from that, you get more, not experience, also experience, but also inspiration. Yeah. If you get to know your gear better and your plugins and your whole workflow.
Right. And I mean, I'll just say what the 5 are. So then 2 is watch, 3 is listen, 4 is use. As you were saying, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then 5 is to actually do.
Yes.
And, one of the things I tell people, I always get the question, we want to be a podcaster, but. And now you are, let's see, podcasts that I've done, 766. So clearly I've been doing this a while.
Yes.
I don't think I would go back and listen to those first ones for anything. I don't take them down. Because they're great guests and things like that. But the second we wait for perfection, it's never going to get done.
So true. None of my tracks is perfect. Not one of them. I like to listen to a couple of them more than others. But I'm at the point where I say it has to be good enough for this project. And of course, it depends on how perfectionist the director is or the producer. And of course, in commercials especially, they have like these huge expectations that the sound is like a song that has been produced for a year. You have to recreate in a night. But if you talk to like directors that actually know the process, they don't ask too much from you. So it feels sometimes like this way, but they know what you're capable of. And so I think perfection is actually a deal breaker, and it's also like killing creativity.
Right.
You won't be perfect. You're not made. You're made perfect, but you're not gonna achieve perfection with everything you do.
Right.
So just be like very have a lot of grace for yourself when you create, and just be humble about it, but also have grace, and then just do it. Right.
I love it. Do you ever, when you're done, are you done? Or do you ever go back and listen to things just to see?
So the first 10 years I did this and said, okay, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. And then I stopped and said, okay, no, I have to focus on the future, not on the past so much. And of course, I can learn from my mistakes in other projects.
Right.
And I want to take this learning to my next project. But I want to make the next project the best project. And not trying to get back to my own life. I mean, if I would go back to my archive, I would have like 10,000s of tracks that I could finish. But this is just practice stuff,
right?
It all makes you better.
What's it like when you're like flipping through the TV channels and you come across something that you wrote?
You know what's funny? I never watch TV really.
Okay.
Sometimes on YouTube I hear people commenting on stuff on TV, and then I hear my music on YouTube in TV. Oh. So this is kind of weird, but it's really
You're like,
it's cool.
I wrote that really, I wrote that.
Exactly. But it was more exhilarating like earlier in my career. Now I'm like, I care about what my music is used for and how it is used, but the relationship to the people that actually want to have music is much more important to me than my own success. I mean, I like success and money and all that stuff. It's all good, but yeah.
Right. Well, and it's different than say a performing musician. Say someone who's singing.
Exactly.
who, concert after concert after concert, they're playing the exact same songs. And
Mhm.
I always think it's kind of funny, when they're interviewed at some point and they're like, I don't ever want to play that song again. But it's also fun
Yeah.
because a lot of times they will do it a little bit different every single time they perform it,
Yes.
just
Mhm.
to kind of keep things live. And
Exactly.
long ago, when I was in college, long ago, I was in a performing theater group, and we performed the same thing over and over and over every
Mhm.
weekend. And we would do something different every single time,
Awesome.
just to keep, sometimes it was a different line, sometimes you stood in a different place, sometimes you had to,
Mhm.
because the set just forced you to do that. But we tried to do it differently so that it didn't come across as being just repetitive. I've
Yes,
done this
absolutely.
500 times type of thing.
I think this is like an amazing skill
Hmm.
if you can keep it up for 500
Right.
times
I know.
and still,
Hmm.
because I think the audience is only as engaged as you are
Hmm.
when performing live.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
think the same goes, of course, for musicians and
Hmm.
stuff like that,
Hmm.
people like that. But for me, it's like I have to create it, and it goes into the film, and I
Hmm.
can't touch it again. So
Right.
this is like
Yeah, it's done.
difference.
Done's
Yeah,
done. Hmm.
exactly. Which makes it my life much easier because I don't have to redo it so many
Hmm.
times.
Right. So, if we're talking to folks who might think, I want to do this, maybe they've
Mhm.
started doing this. What are reasons why people don't make music, or don't make money with their
Money.
music?
I think it's of course, a mindset thing, and I think they get to go to college, pay a lot of money to go to college, but
Hmm.
they don't get taught how to actually approach the business side of things. I have maybe one class or one
Hmm.
semester where they have a couple of classes
Hmm.
where they talk about general business
Hmm.
ideas and how business works.
Hmm.
But I think the music market has a wide spectrum of opportunities, and you don't have to be like just one. I mean, you should focus, but you should also be able to sustain yourself with
Right.
what you want to do most,
Hmm.
right? Music in this case.
Hmm.
So I think the business side is very much underrated. And
Hmm.
as an artist, you get told one thing is that you get told when you're starving, you're also more creative. And
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that
Yeah.
might be true, but it doesn't help you really.
Hmm.
Or you don't want to sell out if you make money.
Hmm.
So they basically block themselves from
Hmm.
success in a financial
Right.
sense.
Like somebody might say, to a musician, writing, jingles for ads.
Mm-hmm.
No, no,
No,
that a
no,
true
it's bad.
musician wouldn't do that.
Yes,
The true musician still has to eat.
exactly. And I mean, look at the big musicians and the like all the stars
Mhm.
that, I mean, they
I
are.
know. I love, when you go back through and you're like, oh, this person wrote that. Well, that's pretty cool.
Exactly, exactly. And first and foremost, like the pop music
Hmm.
stars, they're
Hmm.
good business people.
Right, right.
They know how to sell themselves,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm. Right. And you bring up something very important, because, and I think it is extremely important. And I don't care, what you are doing, but I think it's especially important for performers, musicians,
Mm-hmm.
composers, people like that. And I'm gonna put athletes in there too,
Mm-hmm.
because you have that focus of what you
Mm-hmm.
do,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to know at least some basic business law. Is this
Yes.
is this a contract you should be signing, or you
Yes.
just sign your life away?
Mm-hmm.
You need to know some financial. I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
we're every day it seems like we read about how somebody lost all their money because their
Yeah.
accountant is now in Belize,
Yes.
or
Exactly.
wherever.
Exactly.
And it's not just you, because in essence, you're managing and running, you're the CEO of a company.
Yes.
And so you have to know, okay, there's payroll, there's, you mentioned collaboration. I mean, if you're kind of the lead point, I mean, you're going to have to pay those people, all of those various things. So you have to have at least some basic business knowledge.
Yes. Exactly. And I think good stewardship in like the business
Mm-hmm.
sense makes you also more attractive
Mm-hmm.
to potential clients,
Mm-hmm.
prospects, because they know, okay, you pay your people good money and you pay
Right.
on time,
Mm-hmm.
and you um, just have a different attitude also. If you're not struggling all the time money-wise, then you can be much more open to projects that you maybe just like to do and don't pay that much. And you also, I always say that they, on the other side, they smell if you need money.
Right. Yeah. Desperation. Everybody knows when somebody's desperate.
So I think coming from a standpoint where you have like even if it's only small, like stable income from, let's say, production music, then you have such a different standing because you can say no to stuff. And I think this is a very powerful leverage tool to be able to say no to jobs that don't pay enough or not interesting. And this is what you then get taught in school. You just like do this, learn how to write music and be good at that. And then the other things will come. And that's just not true. You have to know how to set yourself up for success with a stable income. I think a stable income is something that I always strive for. I'm now fortunate enough at the point where it's like, I don't have to worry about money. So this way, other bigger projects come to me. I don't have to do anything. It's just bigger because I can talk differently to people, to my prospects.
Right. Yeah. And as you said, people know when somebody is desperate, but they also want to work with someone who is okay, because you're not going to be thinking, I need to be doing something else. You're going to be able to focus on their project.
Exactly.
And as you said, if you're paying other people, say producer of movie X wants to know that you're going to pay those people on time because they need them too. They certainly don't want them coming to them saying, hey, we haven't been paid, or quitting. And so they want to see that you run a good business.
Yes. And also the industry is so small.
Oh yeah, it's a very small world.
So people know, and it's harder to get around that people know you for the good stuff. But if you do some bad things or just slip up a couple of times, this gets around very quickly.
Right. Well, especially in, as you said, it's a small world, but in this day and age of social media, it doesn't take too much for, word to get out there. And the problem is it might not be accurate. So yeah, it's just best to set things up as best you can.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that you can make mistakes, but then own them. If you make them, own them and learn from them and just be very humble and say, I apologize for stuff you did not good. Or it happens to all of us, to the best of us. They make mistakes. And I think it makes you a bigger man or woman if you own up to them and just say, I'm sorry I did this wrong or this happened or whatever.
Right.
But be open in communication.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Say you got ill and so you didn't meet some deadlines. Yes. You just need to tell people, I'm really sorry, but here is how I will fix it. That's always the thing.
Solutions also very important.
And obviously there are times where it's like, no, this is not going to work. It's like any type of employment where, but you need to watch that, especially in the small world, because then you'll be known as, the diva, right?
Exactly.
Or all those other things. So, you try and do the best you can.
Yes. Another thing for the diva stuff, as an artist, sometimes you just like your stuff so much that you not open for feedback or stuff.
Right. Oh yeah. Like we were saying, it's your baby.
Yes. And of course it is. But the cool thing is you can shape this baby and make it better for the project, And I think if you're good in communication, owning up your mistakes and being good at settled in a kind of financial way, and you're open to feedback, will set you up for success instantly and also takes you apart from 90%, 95% of artists out there.
Right. It's funny. I was remembering back to my college days again, and it was an English class, and we got our papers back, and he'd been very liberal with the red pens on our papers. We all looked at it, and he could tell that we were all like, oh my gosh, and he said, they're just words. They're not your babies. And so it is kind of the same thing. They're just notes. They're not your babies, but it's that fine line, because you want that passion in there.
Yes.
But you do have to remember okay, it is, hopefully not life or death type of situation.
No, normally not. I mean, you should redirect your passion towards the project, not so
Right.
much towards your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, it will not only make you happy because you can collaborate with these people again,
Mm-hmm.
but also make the people that you work with happy, and also make the whole project just a success.
Right.
And this collaborative aspect is just so, as I said so many times, collaboration, it's very important to be like doing this together if you want to be in media, music, or film music, something.
Well, and you mentioned and again, the small world. I'm sure you have producers who come back to you every time. You have, and it's just like, a director says, I want this actor, actress in everything I do. And because they know how you work, they know, not only how you work, they know the quality of your work, all of those various things. And why go with an unknown entity when this one works?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you're not known from the get-go. So you have to make yourself known. And I think if you keep all these in mind, what we just talked about, like getting feedback and be collaborative in nature and have a good attitude towards the project, and you will get known.
Right.
Because these are all traits that makes you professional. Right.
I mentioned in your bio, and we alluded to it again, that you're an educator. Tell us, tell us, what that means.
Yeah. So my passion at the moment, like this is my passion project. I had a huge success with production music, which is like I create music for a publisher, and they then sell it or offer it to TV stations and radio stations, and they sync the music. So they do basically the marketing, and I just have to write, which is awesome.
Cool.
And I have, like, as I said, thousands of placements every year from that, and this makes also my
so that's why things sometimes sound the same. It's like, oh,
yes, it's all my music, exactly. So this makes a big portion of my income, my yearly income, and I wanted to help people achieve the same success as I did. And I have have this method of getting them to, and I just finished one of my courses, and in 6 weeks, they all got a publisher.
Wow.
Without ever thinking about doing this. So, and what this means is opens up so many doors, because now they have a new collaborator. That's someone who actually wants their music. It's so much validation first, but also they will start earning money from royalties.
Right.
So this is my passion project, and I want them to, what I said before, have a stable income, the predictable income, so they can focus on the stuff they want to do. Don't have to do
I was just thinking of you being the maestro, and you're getting them through this process.
Yes, exactly. And it's like it's about relationships, and then it's productivity, and then you have to monetize all of these things, right?
Right. So this is a program that you offer folks?
Yes, I offer this folks twice a year.
Okay.
It's cohort based, so it's live teaching 2 times a week for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I basically guide them through the process. I guide them. They get feedback on their tracks. They basically get taken by the hand, and then come with nothing and go out with a publishing contract and an album of tracks that they sign to them. And we have this community behind it, which is great, where you can actually be open and like to get feedback from them, and all people coming from the same stage, so they know where you're coming from. So it's all very open and non-judgmental. It's like a very helpful community back in the back end. Yeah,
I love it. Well, and I'm guessing that they discover that they can work together well also. They're it's this person has this skill, this person has this skill, and hey, we already know each other, so let's collaborate.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have one who's a very good guitar player, but not so connected, or didn't have much success with composing. Then I told him, okay, just find composers that you can collaborate with.
Right.
You play the guitar
their
for
music.
their tracks. Exactly. And this way he got placements and they split the royalties, and so he got placements from this stuff. Also got introduced to this company, so he now can work for the company as well. So which is it's great.
Right. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the wrong way that businesses and people use music. We think, ooh, I bought it from iTunes, so I own it. I can do what I want with it. Or I've heard it, everybody's playing it, and all these things. And of course, copyright applies. We can't just, it's just like an image that we see on the internet. We can't just go, okay, I don't care that it's a Picasso. I can put it in my, in my marketing brochure.
Yes.
Why is that so important that we make sure that we as the end user are not, in essence, stealing from people?
Yes. I mean, I think if you are a business owner and you have someone go into your shop and just take, I don't know, a can of milk or something and just walking out the door, you wouldn't like that.
Right.
So that's the same with music. I mean, only because it's digital and it's not very something you can touch. It's still the person who wrote the music and produced the music owns this music. And so it's just wrong to take music and use it for your own promotion or your own stuff somehow. I mean, you can listen to it on iTunes, of course. That's why iTunes is actually there, and you pay money for that. So people that have music on iTunes get a tiny little part of that. So I just think, so not only is it wrong, but it's also dangerous, I think. If you use music from iTunes for your small, little commercial or image film for your business, you can get sued, and this is.
And you can get sued for big money.
Yes,
I know somebody who was sued for $100,000 because they used some images off of someone else's website.
Wow, yeah. So of course, I mean, and this is absolutely good that it is this way.
Right.
And when I was working in the agency world, we had a client who had this James Bond themed commercial, and they also wanted the composer compose a James Bond theme kind of thing. And of course, the people who own the rights to the James Bond music,
no, that's too similar.
That's too similar. Either give me $100,000 or you have to take it down from the stations, which is like, so they paid the money. In the end.
Well, and I think people assume, I bought that song from iTunes.
Yeah.
Therefore I can,
different license.
In the fine print, it's single use, private, all sorts of things. And there's certainly a lot of places where you can get music. I mean, like the music that I use at the start and the end of this program.
Yeah.
I have the rights to it.
Exactly.
That means somebody else could have it too. I mean, it's just like images. You can pay a heck of a lot more and have exclusive.
Exactly.
Or you can have someone like you compose it for them.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's, so don't just think, well, I bought it on iTunes or I've got it on CD, so I can put it. No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with iTunes stuff, you're not even allowed to share your music that you bought on iTunes with other people, right? So they have to buy it themselves generally. So, and this is just a different license model. And if you want to license, let's say, a Michael Jackson song, you have to pay the Beatles, Paul McCartney, basically these days.
I know. Yeah, that's the other thing. All these things where X artist is selling.
Exactly. And this is why people come to me and ask me for a similar kind of style, because I'm much cheaper and it's also a one-stop shop.
Right. And
if you buy music
probably,
from,
as we said, exclusive.
Exactly.
So if, when somebody comes to you and says, hey, Sebastian, we've got this new little marketing piece that is going to play on our website. We might run it as an ad. We need you to do the music for it. Nobody's going to have that music anywhere else.
Exactly. No one has the music if you buy the exclusive rights. And then also you don't have any problems with YouTube taking it down or Facebook taking it down, or getting sued, getting a letter from any lawyer and say,
I know. Those are the only IRS letters are the only other scary thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's very important to be aware of that, and also think about like how you would feel if someone steals from your shop.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, Sebastian, I knew we were going to have so much fun doing this. And we've only got about 5 minutes left. So tell us how people connect with you and how you work with people. What are the services that you provide?
So my main focus is custom music creation for any kind of media, like your YouTube intro, YouTube video podcast intros as well, like the music part, and of course movies, commercials for TV, everything that has to be done in terms of custom music. My main sauce. So this is what I like to do most. I offer auxiliary services like audio editing, if you need like or voiceover stuff, all this, like all the sound audio stuff in terms of mediums, I offer that. So if you need music or a voiceover guy or a just your audio cleaned up, this is my services.
Okay, great. And your website is sebastianwatzinger.com.
Exactly.
Pretty, and folks, it really is spelled pretty much just like it sounds.
Exactly.
And so it's not too stressful to try and find that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you've built such a great career around this.
Thank you.
And I can't wait. I mean, at some point I'm going to be watching one of those awards programs and your name's going to be up there, right? Won't that be so much fun? I can say, ooh.
Yeah,
like when you go,
awesome.
Hey, I wrote that music. I can say, oh my gosh, I interviewed him.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. I'm working very hard to achieve that at some point. Not that I do it only for that, but it's fun to be on the stage.
Oh yeah. I mean, to get one of those trophies and
Yes.
yeah. And of course there's different levels. I mean, there's all sorts of things but yeah, I mean, that would be so cool.
Yes. And I'm still young, so I can have lots of time.
Right.
And
right.
So.
Well, do you have any final thoughts for everyone?
So, I mean, I think that as an artist, making money is a good thing. And you should definitely consider taking any course. If you want to have my help, you can go to my website as well and just reach out. But don't let other people tell you that artistry has to be with no money involved, because it's just not true. You can be an artist and also business person at the same time. And if you want to have music if you use music in your work, consider like signing up with one of these companies that actually have very cheap prices already, or just hire someone and just be honor what they achieved and honor their work, basically.
I love it. Well, I'm going to take a risk here because I didn't listen to all your songs, and so I'm going to play one as we end. It's called "Dominate the World," which I think is very appropriate for this, right?
That's good.
And so this has been. I'm going to go ahead and start this. This has been absolutely wonderful. I've had so much fun talking with Sebastian Watzinger. I'm Deb Creer, and until next time, everyone have a great day.